I did a little poll on Instagram, and one of the things you are really interested in seeing more of are my collections in my home. Hi, it's Di from Vintage Flicker. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with Milo, our adopted dog. He's been with us now for a year. Can you say hi? Can you say hi? He's such a good boy. I'm actually filming this video during the pandemic. I'm stuck indoors just like you are if you're watching this in the near to recent future. So today's video is all about my vintage cookbook collection. So let's get into it. Right, Milo? Right, Milo? You ready? So you can't, of course, have a vintage cookbook collection without having one of these. And if you collect, you already know what this is, but it's, of course, Betty Crocker. Yeah, you know she's an invented person, right? There wasn't really somebody named Betty Crocker. But I've been picking these up for a while. This one is the famous Pie Face, I think it's called, cookbook. This edition I have here is, I think, the 8th printing. But what I really enjoy about picking these up is people's handwritten notes. They have all kinds of quirks. This one in particular had some extra bits. I think this person was a vegetarian. You probably can't see that. I'll try to get some close-up shots at some point for you to see. But this had some inserts. It says lentage rice cabbage rolls. I don't know. Carrot and pea quiche with tomato relish. I mean, these interesting stuff. So this is one of the things I love about picking up vintage cookbooks is you never know what you're gonna find inside. Let's see. This is actually the 13th printing, 1977, and I'll do some shots overhead so you can take a look. But this is definitely, if you're into cookbooks, it's one of those that you must have. So here we are. Next, still sticking with Betty Crocker, I also have the new picture cookbook. This one is from, let's open it up and have a quick look. It has really great graphics, and that's something I really enjoy. This is a first edition, 2nd printing. Somebody had in here a little bit about baking, so they have some temperatures for cookies, so breads and cakes. They have some standard temperatures that they've cut out and stuck in here and inside this book. Just look at the graphic here on this. You just gotta love it. And then Betty Crocker made these sort of novelty-esque cookbooks, and I have some of the collection. I think they're 10 or 12 books in total. I have Boys and Girls Cookbook in yellow, Dinner in a Dish, The Hostess Cookbook, and Dinner for Two. Very exciting. Let's have a look inside this one. I don't know why you need to have a cookbook for Dinner for Two, but again, I'm in love with the artwork inside some of these books, and I think some of the recipes are quite interesting. Okay, so next, if we pan over here, my daughter's doing the photography work, and she's doing a great job, isn't she? We have a few other ones. So of course, the Queen of Cookery, Julia Child. This one is actually a first edition. I'll skip over this one because this one's really interesting, and I'll go through that one with you. The Good Housekeeping Cookbook, another classic. The Joy of Cooking, and the New Settlement Cookbook. Now, the Feast of Floyd is one I was really excited to find. I think I still have the price sticker on it. It was 99p. I found it in London, and I'll tell you a quick story about how I found this. I was actually needed to renew my passport while I was in the UK, and I had an appointment and I went, and afterwards I just went around the town of Peterborough, and they were thrift stores, of course, and I went inside and there was the Feast of Floyd for 99¢.
If I'd carried on eating fish like I was doing in the last series, I'd have developed fins by now, and actually I'm bored to death with fish, and I want to get back to a bit of simple peasant cooking and some red meat.
He's one of the first TV chefs, if you like. He made a couple of series of shows on the BBC, and I really enjoy watching him. And his sort of signature is really drinking wine while he's cooking, and he does a lot of cooking in different regions of Europe. And he does a lot of home cooking. So he would visit someone's house and he'd make pasta with them. And of course there'd be wine involved. Most of his recipes include wine. If I show you inside the book, didn't come with a dust cover. It has like little handwritten bits. This is printed. At first, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, he's written inside the book. This is going to be worth quite a fortune. But I think that's how the book actually is. And there's various scripts throughout. Like that one says, a simple meal is one of the most complicated things to prepare. And I think that's so true. Spot on, Floyd. And in here is another graphic, and it says, my desert island luxury item. A kitchen is merely a room without one. Here's the picture. And of course we talked about him liking wine, and you can see it's a corkscrew is what he's referring to. Gotta love him. This is one I picked up. Where was I going? I think I was on a thrifting adventure, and I happened to be driving past a town called Ashland here in Massachusetts, and there was a sign for an estate sale. This house was actually chock-a-block of things. They were collectors, and they had every book on everything. And I actually got a bunch of reference books that you can't see there on the side here. And I went through. It was not very pleasant because there was just piles and piles of things. But one of the things I found was this White House cookbook. And I was super excited. I had about 30 books. Initially, the guy said he wanted like $4 or $5 a book, and I just didn't have it. And he talked to someone, he said, you know what, you just have them, give me what you think is a fair price. So I gave him 20 bucks, and I must have had like 30 bucks, but it was all the cash that I had at the time. But I'm ever so grateful to have this in my collection. This version, it says the person's name in it. This is Mrs. H.E. Smith, and it has her address here in Massachusetts. And it has a picture of Edith Roosevelt inside. And each edition has a different First Lady inside. First page it says, the White House Cookbook, a comprehensive cyclopedia of information for the home. Cooking, toilet and household recipes, menus, dinner giving, table etiquette, care of the sick, health suggestions, and facts worth knowing, etc. By Hugo Zeman and Mrs. F.L. Gillette, steward of the White House. That's pretty exciting. Just look at these pages. You can just, something fell out. You can just see, like, that's pretty amazing, right? Of course, there's always bits inside these books, which is, I find, the most exciting part. Look at this. Look at what I just found. And something fell out that my daughter is gonna pass to me in a second. Oh, and there's more. Oh my God, is this an invitation? It says menu, oysters on shell, browned landuria, Turkish soup with croutons, celery, radishes, fried smelts, tartar sauce, small potatoes, fried, turkey cranberry filling, onions. I mean, this is just amazing. I'm gonna have to do some shots of this. I'm so excited, you guys. I didn't even realize this was in here. It has a little emblem on the back of the menu. Oh my God. I'm like so overwhelmed. And inside was a newspaper cutting. Does it have a date? It says page 7 and 8. Oh my God, how old is this? Leather leg for a horse? Oh my God. Guys, I'm flipping out over here. Oh, it says transcript Saturday, July 13th, 1907. That is amazing. And it says Boston Evening Transcript. It says Boston Evening Transcript on the other side. Oh my God. I wonder why this bit was cut out. they're saved. Victor talking machines. There's a guy that I follow on YouTube. His name is Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop. He would really be interested in this. He's just been talking about Victrolas and Victor talking machines on his channel. How exciting. This says December 17, 1910. I'm gonna try and put things back exactly where they were. There's a menu here. Supper specialties. It says Malcolm and Hayes, New York. And it says, oh wow, what a menu. It has a menu starting with oysters and shellfish and then hot and cold stuff at the Hotel Astor. And then it has the recipe on the other side, I believe, in French. Ruler. Anything else? Yes, there's more. Okay, so here's a little card of the US Capitol. I don't know how old that is. Isn't this fascinating? Oh my gosh, maybe just to me. And there's an article here that says, can keep eggs good for a year or even longer. Put them in crock solution of water, glass, and cover tightly. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of newspaper cuttings near the end here. This is a recipe by Janet M. Hill for clam soup and cauliflower soup and braised partridge. There's an article here cut out on Theodosia Garrison, and it says, Theodosia Garrison, whose graceful verse long ago succeeded in establishing her position as one of the cleverest modern poets in America. So this was the White House Cookbook. I paid probably like $1 for this, and it is worth so much more to me, especially now that I know all these pieces of memories are inside. These three I got from a guy who, he was a Harvard professor and he was downsizing, and I bought all of his cookbooks for a couple of bucks a piece. And that's the story on those. I don't think there was anything interesting particularly in these, but they're good old classic cookbooks, I think. You can't go wrong. I particularly like this one particularly has some really good salad dressing recipes that I use often. The Settlement Cookbook, I used, interestingly, to look at place settings. I always find that really interesting, and I think there's a bit of a dynamic between European and non-European place settings. So I use this, I think I made a video with my daughter some time ago. I'll put a link to it in the description box about where she sets the table, and I think this is the reference I use to kind of help her decide where to place each of the bits on the table. The Joy of Cooking is another classic. I again enjoy having this one in my collection. It is not a first edition. I don't think there's anything particularly special about this one, but if you happen to find a first edition, I think they're pretty, they sell for a lot of money, put it like that. So this one is 1964 edition. Marion Rombauer Becker. Doesn't say anything else. Nope. If you're looking for an all-around good cookbook, this is it. Again, it has something about place settings in the beginning. And that's one of the things I find really fascinating about cookbooks now and then. I think cookbooks now tend to focus on ingredients and timings for the recipe, whereas these cookbooks, they tend to have a lot about how to entertain, how, practical tips for setting the table. I've read cookbooks where they have things like, oh, you don't have mayonnaise, you can use this instead. Those kinds of tips I found really helpful. This is my copy of Julia Child, The Way to Cook. And this is it's not very old, it's 1989, but it is a first edition, I believe. Yes, it says it right here. First edition, 1989. It's not signed or anything, but it's you know, you can't have a collection without Julia Child. Again, I love the photography. I'll just show you this one in soups. You can see that one there. I really like her fish recipes. Those tend to be pretty good. And she gives you lots of practical tips on like how to prepare it, like how to butterfly a chicken and things like that you wouldn't necessarily know how to do every day, and certainly unusual for you to find in newer recipe books. But yeah, I'm gonna stop there for now, otherwise this video is gonna be incredibly long. But I would say the favorites in this collection are Julia Child, and because I talked about it so much, it must be pretty obvious now, is a White House Cookbook. Probably less practical, but I love all the bits inside and all the love and care and attention that has been put into this book. So that's it. I'll shut up now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I'll see you in the next video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and continue subscribing for more great content.